my regular job is I'm a 9th grade world history teacher. I teach world history to freshmen in high school. And I get a call one night, and it was a guy I knew. He was a chaplain of the team at the time, and brief interaction. Didn't really know him too well. And he said, hey, do you want to speak to the team? And at first I thought it was a joke. I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm going to speak to the team. And then he's like, no, like, we needed a speaker before the Jets game. Can you speak to them, yes or no? I was like, sure, whatever. You know, even if this is a prank, I can always turn my car around. Like, no big deal. I live 5 minutes from MetLife Stadium. And I get to the security guard gate, and he's like, you Mr. Gonzalez? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, park to the right. We're waiting for you. I go in the facility. I mean, I go in.
Were you just like nervous at that point?
Yeah.
You were just like, okay, wait, why, how did I get past security on this?
I was stunned. I mean, probably one of the most nerve-wracking things. I walk in the room, and a player stands up to shake my hand, and he's a defensive lineman on the team. His name is William Candy, and he shakes my hand, and he's 6'8" and about 320 pounds. And when he shakes it, I remember his fingers went down to here on my arm. And I remember he looked down at me, and he simply said, he's like, you better tell us something good tonight.
Pressure's on.
Yeah. And honestly, I speak to him for the next 20 minutes. And, you know, some people said, oh, did you talk to him how to play football better? Honestly, you know, it was a chapel service. It was the night before Christmas Eve, so you know how that works. Everybody goes, you know, it's like church, whatever. And I honestly gave him a challenge of what does it mean to be all in as a man? What does it mean to be totally committed? You know, not going halfway. What if you gave your best? You know, what would happen? And they decided to take it to the field. It started with Justin Tuck in the defensive line and JPP, who was on the team at the time. And next thing I know, they beat the Jets the next day. Then they beat the Cowboys, and they go from winning, you know, 6 out of their last 7 games to barely making it to the playoffs to winning the NFC East. And then I start getting calls from the chaplain saying, hey, they made towels that say all in on them. It's from your talk. And then Fox News calls up and says, hey, you're the all-in guy. Can you be on Fox and Friends this, you know, Tuesday morning? So, you know, I called my school up and was like, hey, not going to be there. You can watch me on Fox and Friends. And do that, and then CNN, and then just one thing leads to another. They keep winning. So it just kind of builds and builds and builds. And finally, Super Bowl happens against the Patriots. You know, I get invited to go, but I'm a teacher, and I'd used up my sick days, so I couldn't take off anyway.
I'm sorry, you turned down the Super Bowl?
Well, you use up your 6 days, you can't really,
Wow.
go. Yeah, teacher problems. But it was crazy because I remember walking to school on Monday, and as I turned the corner to go into my building, there's news vans lined up down the block in front of my high school. And my principal was waiting for me. He said, don't sign in today, go right to the conference room. And of course, there's reporters from CBS, NBC, ABC. I mean, even CNN Espanol came up, you know, from Mexico. And I don't speak Spanish, so we got the Spanish teacher. She translated, so it worked out well. And but it was crazy.
So I want to talk about the all-in. What is the? Unpack that for me.
Well, you know, for me, it really started growing up. My dad, he played for the Raiders, and so I thought I was going to be a football player like my dad. But you know, I started getting hit a little bit, and you know, I didn't really like it too much, and I was starting to. Honestly, I was starting to give up on a lot of things in life. And my mother, she sat me down one day and she told me the story of how when she was pregnant with me, she contracted the measles. And when she was in the doctor's office, it was one of those times that my father couldn't go with her to the visit. He was busy working, and she said they gave her just a slip of paper that said, you have the measles. It's in our opinion to consider termination. Try again another time. And she said in that moment she was really crushed. And they came back and said, you know, we can start the procedure right away. You know, just go to this room down the hall. And she said, you know what, I'm going to stick with him. Whether he, survives for 2 more weeks or for 20 years. They said they didn't see certain limbs developing properly, but they said, I'm going to have him either way, you know, whatever happens. And it was in that moment she told me that story when I was, you know, a freshman in high school. And she said, I didn't give up on you back then, so you better not do the same for yourself. You know, I chose to be all in for you no matter what happened. You know, no matter what the scenario was going to be, I was going to give my best, you know, and you need to keep doing that for you. And
wonderful.
Yeah. So that's you know, honestly, that's what all in means to me. You know?
That's wonderful. And you turned out to be so healthy and fit. When you were telling that story about you, the football player, I felt the same way when I shook your hand with my tiny little hands, and your thing just like went on my arm. So it's amazing. Wow. Yeah. So the all in, is that like, is that like in a career? Is that in a relationship? Is that overall as a person? What?
I feel honestly, it's everything we do. It's everything we do, and that's how I think is best to approach it when I'm invited to speak for different corporations and different teams. It's been a blessing ever since the Giants. I don't work with any other NFL team. I'm exclusively with them. I work for the team in the player engagement department, so I travel with the team. We actually just played our first game against the Jets. We did well.
You travel with the team?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, didn't expect it. But when I work with players or different corporate entities, I always tell them it's got to start in here first. It's got to be a personal commitment, because if it's just a sales initiative, if it's just a slogan, it's going to come and go. But I really challenge them in the sense of what does it look like to be all in, starting as a father, as a mother, as a brother, a sister, son or daughter for your family. When I speak at different schools, and really try to challenge them starting from there, because if it's from the outside in, it'll only last as long as you have the the atmosphere to do it. But if it's an inside out sort of thing, then it's going to naturally go into everything you do. It's going to become a lifestyle, not just a slogan.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Colt Bullock, and this is Mitchell Hogg.
Hogue.
Hoog?
Hogue.
Hoog.
On the Colt Bullock Show.
Wish you could watch me.